Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining the session. I hope I'm audible and visible to all of you. Thank you for joining, Sanjana.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time and energy. Thank you, Akash, Vishnu, for joining in. So I hope I'm audible and visible to everyone. And all of you are doing well, at your place, your location, all geared up for uh, the exam day after tomorrow, COQP 11. Thank you for joining in, Vishnu. Thank you, Sia. Thank you, Akash. So, this session today, we are going to focus primarily on your doubts, concerns, any level of anxiety related to the exam, and we will try to work out a framework that is going to not just help you in doing better in the exam day after tomorrow, but it is also going to create more equitable choices in terms of how you strategize and position this CUET PG exam, right? So I'm Saurabheshwar once more welcoming all of you. Thank you, Sneha, for joining in. And I will first help each of you understand that at this time moment, that is 12:35 p.m., this is possibly the exact time around which day after tomorrow, when you're appearing for COQP 11, I believe you are going to be part of that actual exam timing. That is 5 minutes into the exam. And we have started our session also around the same time. So, this timing of the day is going to be quite naturally very important for you, right? In the entire day, you should be mindful, alert, right? As well as be able to enjoy your time. Very critical, because if you are not enjoying the process, then quite naturally the outcome also gets impacted, with your sensibilities, right? Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Vaishnavi, for joining in. So, in the same format, I may also request participants that if it is not a difficulty, please keep your videos on, just because it's easier to create a better human interaction. You can keep your microphones off, but if you keep your videos on, it also enables better interaction as well as outcomes of learning, because all of us are have got used to switching off your cameras, texting primarily, doing things in a more automated format. But the actual exam, you have to go out of your house, go to a exam center, right? So first and foremost, uh, I would request each of you who are appearing for the exam day after tomorrow to clearly work out your travel plan to the exam center. And I might sound very fundamental, but let me tell you that this is something which we have done over the last 15 years of preparing students for national level entrances, whether it was TISNET earlier, whether it was JNU entrance exam earlier, Delhi School of Economics entrance exam earlier, right? Or let's say exams like a CLAT or a CAT. Now we have the CVT PG. So basically, it's definitely an old wine in a new bottle, but in a better format. If I may request you that please be sure of the route that you are going to travel to your exam center. I know all of you have sorted it out, but it is our responsibility to put a thought in, right? Because you are traveling on a weekday, unlike most of the exams which typically used to happen on a Saturday and Sunday, less traffic days. Our exam of COQP 11 is scheduled on a weekday, on an office day. You could be at any location, you could be in a village, in a town, in a city, and each of you, in your own way, you understand the traffic scenario and the travel scenario better, right? How are you going to travel, commute, take a bus, take a train, hire an auto, take a car, whichever way. So that has to be really very very made clear as per the requirements of the admit card. Please follow whatever time of reporting they have mentioned to the exam center. Don't be complacent in thinking that there's no point in reaching 1 hour before the exam. What is the point? But you might be taken for surprise that it can be a long drawn process just to enter the exam hall, right? So that is going to be a very important aspect, right? Now at this point of time, in the month of end of March, a lot of places in India are facing rainfall, storms, a lot of things, right? So according to the weather forecast, please prepare yourself, right? So that you carry adequate protection both from the sun or from the let's say rain, for the simple reason that not all exam centers may have enough provisions for you to be in a shelter while you are entering the exam hall, right? So that is a very important aspect, and do communicate this with your family members with whom you are also going to travel to the exam, right? Because you got to take care of yourself. Your mind and your mindset should be very free of anything that is not related to the exam, not related to your performance, isn't it? So that is going to be very important. 12:30 to 2 p.m. is your exam. Typically, this time, 12:30 to 2 p.m., ideally, under most of the circumstances across all countries of the world, is a lunch hour, right? You feel hungry when it's 12:30 anywhere, whether you're in school, college, office, or even at home. 12:30 to 2 p.m. is the time we feel hungry. Okay, I really appreciate that you chose 12:30 when we set a time and all of you have come in. But there are a lot of people who have not turned up today for the simple reason that on a Sunday, 12:30 to 2 p.m. is definitely a timing where you have are supposed to have lunch with your family members, or you may have other plans, right? So since you feel hungry, it's imperative to also tweak your appetite of the day, so that during the exam you also have the necessary energy levels, student, right? Again, I'm sounding like a nutritionist, but believe me, a lot of these factors do matter in the final outcome of an exam, right? So again, I would request all of you to keep these things in contention at the exam hall. When we are talking about entering an exam hall, sitting down, choosing your, going to the desk that is assigned to you, the computer in front of you, any sort of technical difficulty should be communicated to the invigilating person, and it is your right to communicate that. Do not settle with a broken chair, a broken table, a monitor, which is kind of getting a little stuck. Though these things are taken into consideration because you pay optimum application fees to the government nowadays. And since it's a central government exam, the budget allocated actually is used for administrative costs that are included. But there could be many situations, because we are talking about the vastness of our country in India. So if there is any issue, like, you're staring at the monitor and the monitor is appearing to be very bright to your liking, please request the person to help you. Don't do it on your own. Don't think, oh, I have the same monitor, let me press a button. Don't do that. Request that person to, you know, regulate the brightness. If the chair is somewhere uncomfortable on where you're sitting, please request the person, to take care of it. And for all of these things, you need buffered time in hand prior to the exam, right? So don't think that you are only alone giving an exam. There is an ecosystem to support you to do well. That's going to be very critical, right? So now, as the exam starts at 12:30, you're supposed to, like, let's say, click onto the the button where which shows maybe your registration details, and it matches with you. Please make sure that you go through that details, the photograph and everything, the details which are there, it matches with you. If it does not match with you, please again request the person to look into it. Once the timer starts and the exam starts taking place, consolidate your thoughts of not jumping into solving questions, because you have been told that attempt as many questions as possible in 90 minutes, doesn't matter what you know, don't know, don't get into these problems. Organize your thoughts, students. 90 minutes is a lot of time, provided you understand your strengths with respect to a COQP 11 or even a COQP 12 paper. Difference between 11 and 12, as you understand from the syllabus, any of you who are appearing for it, differs predominantly in the general knowledge and current affairs part or computer awareness, which is not there in COQP 12, but you have it in COQP 11. The mathematics is much truncated in COQP 12. The COQP 11 part has a more extensive range of math subjects, right? So the thumb rule is that we always follow this 60% rule. 60% rule in any aptitude test, whether it is a CAT exam, whether it is CUET exam. Somehow, while a lot of things have changed, the 60% rule still remains a very scientific aspect. Okay, you may call it the Pareto principle or whatever it is, but the 60% rule really works well, because out of the 90 minutes allocated for your exam, give yourself 60% of that time. That is, what is 60% of 90 minutes, participants? Quickly, you can use your microphone, you can write it on chat box quickly. 60% of 90 minutes. Come on, this is part of percentage. Yeah, Yash writes 54. So 60% of 90 minutes being 54. This 54 minutes of a COQP 11 exam is where you should try your best from all possible topics based on which questions have been set across the 75 of them. Try and identify questions that you are most sure to moderately sure about. Whether you are able to solve a maths question, an English question, a logical reasoning question, a data oriented question, a general knowledge or a current affairs or a computer awareness question, and allot that 54 minutes of time. You can extend that up to 60 also, because at the start we would also recommend 3 to 5 minutes in filtering out questions across the 75, because all the 75 questions will all be visible on a navigation pane. The navigation pane would be on the right side, 1 to 75 marked. Each of these questions can be directly selected. You can go there, you can go back and forth, you can do whatever you feel like throughout the 90 minutes. There are no sectional lock-in options, unlike a CAT exam, which does not allow you to complete, like skip a section and then go back to it unless you have completed and submitted it. But this is more a very free flowing ecosystem layout of exam, where you can also review and mark, right? So if you have seen the NTA mock tests which are available on the CUET website, you will exactly find the same pattern in the exam day after tomorrow, right? 54 minutes is going to be your major differentiating factor, because these 54 minutes or 60 minutes out of the 90 minutes, try to maximize on your accuracy. It doesn't matter, student, what you end up scoring, because none of us have data points to say that this score is going to be enough for that program. No one knows, for the simple reason that whichever university you're applying for, the universities are still experimenting on the format of evaluation, right? They are still trying to find out ways in which they are accepting the scores. So they are equally confused as you are. Don't think that you are the unfortunate, hapless, unlucky individual who is getting stuck in this entire format, which is so vast and confusing. No, everyone it is. I have and we have been interacting with several faculty from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Ambedkar University, Azim Premji University, and they are all of the same opinion that we are in a teething phase. But what happens in a teething phase, student, is that you, as an individual, if you are focused of the sector or the space you want to eventually work with, right? And you try to find out that, okay, if not this, how else can I still make it to that sector with my CUET score? You will never be short of choices. Okay? So I will pause here because I don't want to go on giving lectures a day before the exam. It makes no sense. Okay? But I would rather focus on addressing questions and queries from your end, right? So anyone who has a question specific to COQP 11 or even connected beyond it, please feel free to ask time management, what is a good score. There are so many things on your mind, I'm sure. Please feel free to ask Sanjana, Vishnu, Vaishnavi, Sneha, Sia, Yash, Deepika, Sharnabu. Go ahead with your queries.
Sir, I had a question.
Please ask.
So, since you mentioned that we can navigate through the 75 questions as and when we want, but
Yeah.
is there any option like sectional wise, like
No.
some option which can categorize the
No.
sections so that we can
No.
solve one at a time?
Mm, no, Sanjana. Not in CUET. That I remember because we had asked this question to all the test takers last year.
Okay.
I think there are people who may have already appeared for other papers. Sharnabu is here. Sharnabu, if you followed Sanjana's question, she's asking that are there sections or tabs inside the uh, questions that you can go through? No. So Sharnabu confirms no, Sanjana. That means there is also not going to be any such demarcation. Like demarcation, you mean, Sanjana? You are asking that, say, maths and reasoning, can I know that, okay, these many questions are part of maths and reasoning and I can jump to that section? There is not going to be such tabulated format, which otherwise in other exams like CAT or even earlier in TISNET, they used to be along with the navigation pane. So it is all going to be mixed up. But you will find, Sanjana, I can assure you, which Shornabu might agree or may also disagree, that there is, yeah, there is some sort of an order, Sanjana. In fact, last year we saw the order in which the syllabus has been given to you exactly in the same order. The questions had appeared in the COQP 11 paper at least, because we had English right at the start. Then the English gave away to, let's say, the next general knowledge. Then the general knowledge gave away to the computer awareness. And the computer awareness then finally gave to maths and reasoning. This was the order, I mean, in which the questions fell. Okay. But there was no specific mention that, okay, question 1 to 15 is English. Such tabs were not given, which is, in a way, I would suggest or I would feel is a good thing because, in your mind, you don't get compartmentalized, Sanjana. Because 54 minutes, 60 minutes, right, out of 90, you have to make sure whatever little you attempt, you maximize on your accuracy. I hope all of you are understanding the accuracy part. +4 for correct answers, -1 for incorrect answers, right? So you don't want unnecessarily getting negative marking, right? If you make 4 errors, then it takes away your +4 marks, right? So you have to maintain that parity. After 54 to 60 minutes, then you can experiment, add some questions, but do not get into this greed and temptation of unnecessarily marking blindfoldedly questions which you are absolutely clueless about. Guesstimates, calculated risks are always part of your decision making process. But it should only be done when you have adequate number of questions that you have already marked. Otherwise, let it be. I can assure you from on behalf of Catalyst that there is going to be a wide range of scores through which you can still be able to make to meaningful programs via the CUET PG when it comes to the vast range of central universities, centrally deemed universities, private universities are concerned. So don't, you know, fall into this pressure because someone has told you that only this program will make your life better and the other programs will make it worse. Those narratives are absolutely marketing gimmicks, absolute marketing gimmicks. If you do not believe in that, you can always come back to us and be, accountable to us. Otherwise, stick to your potential of maximizing score. Maximizing score is also about minimizing negative marking, right? It is simple. that if you do not have a lot of income, save more. Same concept. So please keep that in context. I hope, Sanjana, your question is answered.
Yes, sir. Also, sir, I was thinking that how many, I mean, what can be an average good score, or like how many questions should be target to at least as many as possible, since you mentioned like how much should be target that we solve accurately, and then maybe try to solve a one, two more based on guess and assumption. So
Yeah,
I think that we should target as such while attempting the paper.
yeah. You see, Sanjana, one is that the question that you ask is very strongly dependent on your own self assessment of your preparation, right? Now, self assessment of preparation, let me also tell you, there is a huge this hype on, let's say, mock test series and taking tests of CUET exam. Now we are noticing on an average, based on most of the situations, especially with COQP 11, let me be very honest with you, COQP 11 contains 60%, that is 45 questions almost, right, out of 75, which are based on aptitude. Aptitude means mathematics as per the syllabus mentioned, reasoning as per the syllabus given, verbal ability as per the syllabus given, as well as maybe questions from verbal reasoning. This aptitude questions, that is 45 out of 75, which roughly accounts for 180 marks, 45 into 4, 180 marks out of 300. If you notice now again, Sanjana, is 60% of the total score. So you see something very interesting. Aptitude part itself comprises 60% of the total score. And 60% was a thumb rule that I focused upon, right? Now, if we have in, enough control on the aptitude part, because aptitude part means concept, it does not require remembering, it does not require recall value, it does not require a lot of exposure, right? Because otherwise in GK part, if they ask you something specific to, let's say, an year of a scheme, it can be sometimes very tricky until and unless you're very thorough with the context, right? And India is a vast country. Every day so many things are happening, right? How much will you control? How much will you go studying? So your focus, whether you are someone who is very good, has been really sensitive, alert about general awareness, then your mix of attempts, Sanjana, quite naturally is going to be balanced between both. You could be someone who, let's say, has practiced, like, many of you from the Catalyst ecosystem, you have shared feedback about your practice for the aptitude part, so you focus on those parts. So you really build your strategy of number of attempts, Sanjana, from the scope of how well you are versed with the questions. Plus, so please remember, 60% is the rule that we have to try and attempt to make it as accurate as possible. On top of it, whatever you get correct, Sanjana, is a bonus. So a safe score is purely based on which program you are appearing. Now, which program you are appearing is very difficult to suggest because we don't have data points. Not only that, if you ask me that, sir, what is the cutoff for public policy? I would say last year public policy's approach was entirely different. This year, public policy's approach is entirely different when TISS is concerned. Public policy is different when Ambedkar University is concerned. Public policy is different when, maybe any other central university is concerned. So I am saying that try to maximize your score based on proper strategy. Maximizing, again, please remember, is not about only increasing lot of attempts, because a lot of attempts which may not yield you correct answers will negate your score, right? So today I would suggest to all of you that make an assessment, write down in a diary, don't keep it in your head, write down in your diary and share it with me, that, sir, this is my game plan strategy, these are the chapters I'm good at, so that when question from that chapter is set on the paper, I will attempt them first. That is very important. The profiling of the question. You don't jump into the questions, right? If you maintain that parity, because general knowledge computer awareness questions will take you few seconds to answer. They do not require you to calculate. They do not require you to reason out most of the times, excepting maybe some questions where you can chalk out the answers, opt for it. So if you maintain that, you will actually realize that unknowingly your time towards maths questions, verbal ability question, can actually rise almost up to 1.5 to 2 minutes per question. Because for GK questions of, let's say, 13 numbered, computer awareness and GK, 30 questions will roughly take you around, let's imagine, how much will it take you. If I take like 30 questions, it will not take you more than 15 minutes. It will not take you more than 15 minutes to answer them, because either you know it or you don't know it. And sometimes in some questions it might appear familiar, you're a little confused, but that will go maximum 10 seconds, 15 seconds, isn't it? So that's the point, that you have to understand it from the context of the paper. You will discover your way of scoring high. So my way of scoring high in CUET PG COQP 11 is going to be like a chart that you have to create today. Am I clear with all of you? Vishnu, Sanjana, Sia, Sneha, Vaishnavi, Deepika, Swarnabush, Yash. It has to be on paper. You cannot say, no, no. I mean, I know how to score. I am an UPSC aspirant. You will realize, discover on the day of the exam, that there is so much difference. Every exam should be treated on its own merit. And when you respect an exam, you do better. Do never feel complacent about it. Don't do it half-heartedly. If you invest your time, strategy, it will always come out better. It will become more effective. Sanjana, I hope that helps you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So make that chart. It will help all of you in your own way. The chart does not have a rule. You will set the rule. Once you make that chart, and then day after tomorrow when you go, keep that chart in your mind, you'll see you have a better control. Otherwise, you know, you can't do it at the luck of draw. Any other questions? Please go ahead. The more questions you ask, the better you will gain clarity. Vishnu, Vaishnavi, Sneha, Sia, Yash, Sharnabu, Deepika,
Sir, I have one question
please
for
ask.
you. Sir, can I speak in Bengali?
Definitely.
ওকে। স্যার আমার প্রশ্নটা হলো সেটা হচ্ছে আহ, ওই ওই ইউনো হলের যে একটা অ্যাটমসফিয়ার থাকে, মানে আমি
Hmm.
দুটো পরীক্ষা দিয়েছি সেটা আলাদা
Right.
ব্যাপার, কিন্তু ওই দুটোর সাথে সিওকিউপি 11 একটা মানে ওটা হচ্ছে সবার কাছে একটা মেজর পেপার, রাইট?
Hmm.
দ্যাট ইজ দ্য মেজর ওয়ান।
Yeah.
তো আমি লাস্ট পেপারে অনেকগুলো যে খালি ছিল, মানে
Yeah.
সিস্টেম খালি ছিল, সো
Right.
মেনি পিপল didn't appear for those exam, but I
Right.
guess in COQP 11 everyone is going to
Right.
come and appear for the exam. So how to handle that
Yeah.
situation when you're
Yeah.
seeing so many competitors around you?
So one is, Sharnabu, to be very happy that that you are part of a process which has strong demand, right? That is very important, because you can be you can be relevant in two ways. One is that you generate a demand, or you also be part of a system which has demand, because that is also going to lead to new ways. So in the queue, be cordial to each other, discover people, right? Strike conversation, because you will find that people would love to interact. You have to not make it too personal, because at the end of the day this is a public exam. You are appearing for getting into an program or a masters where you will be interacting with human beings, right? This is not Shornavo where we are going to be stuck at our home, right? Be in closed doors. So this is also an opportunity where you end up meeting people, right? You can keep your smile on, very important. I mean, because otherwise, how do you take care of your own self in the concentration and focus? To also focus, you also need to smile, isn't it? You can't stay focused, and if you can't say that, oh, if I smile and talk too much, then my concentration will be gone. Not really. Each of you have appeared for way more complicated situations in your class 10 and class 12 boards. You were possibly, a dozen years, at least 12 to 15 years younger than what you are currently, I suppose, right? On top of it, you many of you could be like, giving the exam in very different circumstances. At such a tender age of 15 or 16, you have appeared for board exams. All of you, I believe, you have handled that. So keep that faith in you. Okay. You might say that, sir, those days the stakes were not so high. We did not have to build a career out of an exam. But you did build a career out of your exam, because class 10 boards are still asked. Even when you go to an IIM, they're asking after if you have scored certain percentage in class 10. That means there is so much weightage still given to that experience that you had gained as a 15 or 16 years young person. So if you could manage it, this is also going to be a very interesting opportunity, right? So while we tend to also hype up the exam because looking at the popularity of certain paper, let's not think that, something popular is going to essentially, impact us in terms of our mental understanding. Be a very celebratory, approach type, where you also, Shornavo, try to find out that, okay, great, while you're standing in the line, say hi to the person in front, say hi to the person behind you. What will happen? Maximum they will not say a hi back, but theek hai, you be the way you can maintain your sanity, right? Don't let externalities impact you, right? There are so many things which are happening on a daily basis. People are still working, right? The economy is still moving on, right? And so many people are doing it. So you are not going to be an exception, Shornavo, right? And neither any of you. So keep that belief set, as an individual while you are appearing for the exam. I hope you could follow my words. যদি তোমার কোনো অসুবিধা হয়, I can translate it into Bengali.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely fine. Absolutely
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Any other questions? No one is asking after suggestion. What questions will come? Come on. What are the probable 50 questions? 110 questions? Sure shot. Come on.
Sir, please enlighten us.
So there you go. So you see the the probable 10 questions, 50 questions, 100 questions for a COQP 11 paper, you can be rest assured is going to be definitely from the syllabus that has been mentioned. Okay. And that is where aptitude part of the paper, 60% of the questions play a very vital role. Percentage, how to calculate percentage change, calculating percentage off, percentage reduction, discount, basics of profit and loss, right? Successive profits, successive losses, successive discounts, right? Time and work, application of time and work, basics of the correlation between labor, time, and work, even when they all of them are changing, basic application of pipes and cisterns, time and distance, correlation between speed, time, and distance, fundamental questions. If you know how to solve them, you will find every question common. I can give that to you in writing for COQP 11, because it is a general paper with an application or in a wide range of programs and universities. You could be looking at a very specific niche domain, but the paper's application is not meant to be only for a public policy or a social work. It can be applied to a wide range of colleges, wide range of programs which you may not be even interested in. So the questions are also going to be set in a format in which none of you will ever face either an advantage or a disadvantage. So provided you are thorough with your aptitude part of the paper, you will find all questions to be pretty much within your expectation limits. Basics of mensuration, basic calculation of area volume, whether it is calculation of a volume of a sphere, calculation of cylinder, just do the basics. You will not face difficulty at all. Basics of permutation and combination, basic application of probability, right from the definition, where probability is defined to be the number of favorable outcomes out of the total number of outcomes, right? So tossing a coin, rolling a die, playing a card, all those standard situations, questions are going to be set fundamentally on these topics. There is not going to be any experimentation, any flouncy questions. Do not consider every exam to be CAT exam. That is why it is very important to prepare for an exam based on the merit and the spirit of the exam, right? So if you keep that in contention, even today, if you go ahead and just look at from, let's say, the notes which are available in the Catalyst ecosystem of all these base fundamental topics, do two questions from the top of the assignment. You are ready. I'm telling you, you are ready. All those, long talks about great courses for 1 year, 2 years of CUET is not as important as when it comes to the effective strategy of the paper. Now, only question that remains is general knowledge and computer awareness. General knowledge and computer awareness, as long as you have kept your eyes and ears open with headlines, with major knowledge points based on, let's say, the current affairs compendiums that we have shared. Last year, also, with the same type of notes, we had a median score of 243 out of 300 in Catalyst. I'm very sure it is not going to differ this year. Yeah, because government is not going to just test your knowledge like that. They are also mindful that this paper has a wide range of application across so many types of programs. So because it has so many type of programs application, Sharnavu, and for anyone else, you should be happier that the scope through the paper is the largest. Every score can give rise to an opportunity to apply, right? And every opportunity has its own potential, right? Whether that matches your expectation or is secondary, but it has a potential. That's why it has been affiliated. Every university has been affiliated to this program after a lot of due diligence. It is not that it is a course which has no future, but it is being affiliated to CUET. That is never possible, isn't it? Then the courses will be shut down, the universities will not function. So that is where I feel it's very important to keep that strategy on and revise your fundamental concepts. Keep the process of learning fun. Don't unnecessarily give yourself pressure, because we cannot perform if we are not clear about where we are heading to. Pressure is good, but you have to understand the expectation of the paper. It is not a civil service prelim exam. Half of the aspirants, they are thinking they know it all because they're preparing for civil service prelims. They will be surprised, because the extent to which a civil service prelims will ask you questions, that extent is much compact for a COQP 11 paper. It is specific. If they ask you question on literature, then important individuals and personalities who have hit the headlines or are critical in our socioeconomic understanding as far as our country is concerned, and important books and authors, they will ask you questions from those things, which many of us are already aware of, right? Or if there has been a recent, award and recognition for literary works, then they will ask you question on that. Right. So if there is a question on science, they will quite naturally ask you questions on science advancements and technological advancements which are hitting the news. Whether it is artificial intelligence, whether it is space technology, whether it is going to the sun, whether it is Sunita Williams being welcomed back to Earth. It is up to the focus areas. That's what they're going to test you. That is why it is called a general paper. It is not called a specialized paper. right? A lot of times people are getting into so much details. People are saying that, sir, do I have to study about low Earth orbital satellites, LEO satellites, geo satellites? They're getting into the entire physics of it. They're going into acceleration due to gravity, Newton force. And no, those can be you asked actually in a civil service exam, because they test you in both ends. So I guess respecting the merit of a paper is going to be a very important strategy, because fundamentals are going to be tested in a general paper. So from today onwards, if I look at the fundamentals also, even if I have not done it earlier, you will find so many things within your control in the COQP 11 paper. I hope I've been able to give you that understanding, because otherwise what will happen is, when you also look into the past year's question paper are limited to maximum 2 years. We cannot tell you that from general awareness and current affairs we don't have enough evidences, because those are the basics of basic research in aspects. If I don't have enough data points and I'm just banking on, let's say, in 2 years roughly 30 and 30, that is 60 questions, or maybe a little more than that, 70 75 questions total, trying to understand the pattern of GK, I might miss a trick. But as far as the aptitude part is concerned, if you know how to calculate profit and loss, any question from profit and loss that is given to you, you will be able to get an answer. So believe in those parts, right? And do feel free if you need any support. Even now, we are more than happy to provide you. Aptitude test is something that you prepare literally till you have started the exam. So don't ever give up on your preparation, right? Enjoy that process. Keep searching. A lot of times we feel very exhausted. Oh my God, I don't want to take more information. Don't want to do something new. While you don't want to do something new, if I tell you that, calculating average speed is not the same as adding two speeds and dividing it by two, but it is more about total distance divided by total time. Maybe that simple concept can come handy during the exam. So see what is left to be discovered, at least in the static parts of the paper, which is the aptitude part, which has 60% of the questions. You will find such strong control, I can tell you. Strong control, because the remaining 30 questions, because most of us are technologically savvy, we understand computers also, you will find so many things that you are under your sleeve. Okay, you can even reason it out sometimes, even with current affairs. So keep that in contention. I would suggest that people who are following the Catalyst, resources, believe in it. You will find a strong alignment, to the type of questions which you can expect. Kriti joins us. Kriti, any questions? We are discussing strategies for test day. Anything on your mind that you would like to
So,
ask? Yes, Shona.
are the questions from clock and calendar is important?
Yeah. They will give you one question on clock, one question on calendar. Very simple. Clock, if you just remember the basics, uh, you will find questions. If you just follow Shornavo in our Trainer Central platform, like what we have given. Let me just try and see, just a moment. Uh, because you asked this question, I just quickly take you through. Give me a moment, Shornavo.
Actually, so what happens, when the questions from other aptitude
Yeah.
part, when it comes, I can find it very easy to solve. But when it comes to clock and calendar, I always fumble. I do
Oh,
not know why, but
no, no,
I
no.
do
Because
fumble.
because somehow clocks and calendars have not been taught in our neither in our school level, neither later on, because we have taken clocks and calendar for granted. But they are based on some very basic principles. So if I simply show you under general aptitude part, when I come to clocks, you will find, if you just go through, one is this video which has very simply, helped you to understand the fundamental of clocks well. And you can just, it's a matter of 20-30 minutes that you will understand, and followed by this very very simply defined basic concept of clocks and calendar, right? Whether you calculate the difference of speed between the hands, whether it is a minute hand and the hour hand, because the minute hand is traveling, as you know, 360 degrees, right, in 1 hour. That means it travels across 12 divisions, and 1 hour is 60 minutes, Sharnabu. That means the speed of the minute hand becomes 360 by 6, that is 6 degrees per minute. Speed of the hour hand, on the other hand, it travels 30 degrees in 1 hour, isn't it? Like if you just logically look at a clock, and you can take a clock, make it turn, don't spoil the spring while doing it, you will learn in 10 minutes. Clock basic concept is about 10 minutes. And then after that, if you just follow few questions based on a consolidated rule, you will see the same questions end up coming one after the other in most of the aptitude papers. So I'm requesting you, take out 15 minutes, sit with the clock, open this uh, part of your resource. You will not find it difficult at all. If you find it difficult, please call me back. Clocks and calendar.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no
sir.
problem. No problem. Any other questions? Anyone else would like to ask me? Please go
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
You.
This is Kriti. Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, Preeti. Good afternoon.
Sorry, I
Please tell.
joined late, but I wanted to ask what's the safe amount of questions we should attempt because there is negative marking as well.
Yeah.
So,
So, Preeti, that's what we have been talking predominantly right from the start, that 60% of the COQP 11 paper is aptitude, mathematics, reasoning, verbal ability, and yeah, mathematics, reasoning, verbal ability, right? So 60% of the questions, roughly, that is 45 out of 75 questions approximately, are going to be those parts, Kriti, which if you practice the fundamentals and you know the basic technique, you will have a greater control on the outcome. So if I want to assure my scoring, quite naturally, it is always lower risk appetite to attempt those questions from the aptitude part. The GK part, Kriti, is an individual perspective. If you are someone who is really good with certain types of GK, like let's say you are a literature person and a music person, and what you follow actually comes up as a question in the paper, then quite naturally you will have a control on those areas, right? And GK is an evolving part. It is something which is you cannot really teach or even preach, but it is based on an individual exposure. However, the aptitude part, Kriti, is a better control part. So if
hmm,
you see 180 out of 300 in terms of scoring 180 marks is
hmm,
something that you can actually control better, Kriti, isn't it?
hmm, hmm,
On top of it, everything else is a bonus, isn't it?
hmm, hmm,
I'm not saying that you will not be able to do any GK. That's impossible. There are so many types of question in GK, right? Through which you will get ample opportunity, because general knowledge, if you see, it's vast. You have current affairs, you have literature, history, personalities, and so many things. Indian
hmm,
Constitution. So if you exercise better control, Kriti, on preparing those parts, even if you will say that,
hmm,
sir, I have traditionally not enjoyed math so much. But
hmm.
Kriti, it is worth putting an effort in the math.
Yes, yes, I am. I
Worth
am
putting in.
the topics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm,
Other papers don't have this advantage, like so many
hmm,
of you, including I think Sharnavo, have appeared for papers like sociology, social work. Earlier people have appeared for hospital management. Most questions you have to do it on a recall value.
hmm,
Here comes a paper where aptitude is something that if you know how to calculate
hmm,
probability when you toss a coin twice,
hmm,
and they ask you that, okay, when a coin is tossed twice, what is the probability that you get two heads? Now,
hmm,
even if you are someone who has zero knowledge about probability, you had hated probability, you would always run away from probability in your school and college. If you look at the fundamental application of probability, which is favorable outcomes by the total outcomes, Kriti, right?
Right, right.
When you toss a coin twice, you can have head, tail, tail, head, head,
Hmm.
head, tail, tail, right? So that
Hmm.
means there are like four possible outcomes,
Hmm.
out of which the question asks you to find out the outcome in which both are heads.
Hmm.
So
Right.
in your sample space, you saw that both our heads happen only once.
Hmm.
That means one out of four is going to be my answer. So if
Hmm.
you maintain that logic, in more questions, you will find that the basic principles of counting, like
Hmm.
when two events happen together,
Hmm.
the outcomes are multiplied, right?
Yeah.
If any of the events are supposed to take place, the outcomes are added, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Principle of counting. So if
Hmm.
you channel your maths from the reasoning point of view,
Hmm.
you will find things to be much more controllable.
Hmm.
Percentage, for example, I repeat, percentage is the mother of arithmetic,
Hmm.
because once you know percentage, you know profit and loss.
Hmm.
Once you know percentage, you know how to calculate even time and work.
Yeah.
Once you know percentage, you know simple and compound interest, right?
Hmm.
Once you know percentage, you know application of partnership as well as ratio and proportion. Because ratio and
Hmm.
proportion also, 2 is to 1, that entire concept is a prelude to percentage.
Hmm.
Because 2 is to 1 means 2 out of 3 parts, which is
Right.
approximately 60%,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
60% again boils down to, rather 66% again boils down to 2 is to 3.
Hmm.
So the understanding and correlationship of these chapters are very vital when you
Hmm.
consolidate your control on the aptitude.
Hmm.
So I think if you maintain that mindset for COQP 11, you
Hmm.
will discover that while you are doing your maths and reasoning and your verbal ability,
Hmm.
a lot of the time out of the 90 minutes is getting created extra, because to attempt a GK or a computer awareness question, you barely need few seconds.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
30 questions will roughly require you 12 to 15 minutes, roughly, all
Hmm.
together. I'm 12 to 15, I'm being quite conservatist.
Hmm.
So I think if you maintain that stance, 54 minutes, that is 60 minutes out of 90, if you devote it to your aptitude part really diligently, your
Hmm.
accuracy levels will be much better managed and controlled.
Hmm.
Okay, because don't think that everyone is very sorted and there is so much pressure. What will happen now? My interviews are not taking place, let's say at TISS.
Hmm.
We will try to maximize our score in our own way,
Hmm.
believe in that score, and then, of course, as I mentioned, the COQP 11 paper has such a wide range of acceptance, Kriti,
Hmm.
that you never know. You might discover opportunities with the score which appears at that circumstances to be quite meaningful to you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So don't also think so far and let's say limit your opportunity, thinking that, oh my god, someone
Excuse
had
me.
some. Yes, yes, yeah, yes, go ahead.
So actually, I think this discussion is going in a wrong direction.
Please
So
tell
you are
me,
saying
Yash.
that CUQP 11 paper has 60% weightage of quant and DI verbal and ability.
Right?
So but in 2024 paper, approx 50 questions were only from computer, English and GK. That comes around 70%.
50 questions.
Yes, were from English, GK and computer.
So you're taking English in consideration. That's what I'm saying. I'm taking English and maths. You have added English, Yash.
Okay.
You have added English. I am saying English maths. English
Still,
maths.
if we count quants and verbal ability,
Yeah,
that will come around to 20-22 questions maximum
20 to 22 questions. No,
out of
I
75.
have you seen it correctly?
Yes,
2024
sir.
paper,
So I gave 2024 paper last year.
right?
So that's what I remember. I've given.
No, I mean, if you see very clearly, for 75 questions in 90 minutes time, there are 5 types of question, and we expect 15 questions from each. That's how the weight, that's how the equity is created. Otherwise, it cannot be called a general paper, Yash. I'm just trying to help you understand. I'm sure you have appeared for the paper. You feel there was way more questions, but if you look a little bit more diligently, you will find 5 types of question across 75 questions. Roughly, approximately. I'm not saying that every part or type of question will have exactly 15. It could be 16, 17, up to 20. But what I'm saying is an approximate. Otherwise, it will be not called a general aptitude paper. That's the point. A general aptitude paper will have distribution which is equitably distributed across your mathematics, your logical reasoning part, because mathematics and logical reasoning, they have been clubbed into one section. But logical reasoning also has, Yash, separate questions. A logical reasoning question cannot be equated to a maths question. Say, for example, statement conclusion, statement argument, direction test question, or a seating arrangement question. You can't call it a maths question. You will call it a logical reasoning question, right?
Right.
So if are you getting my point? If I would just request you to review it once more, you can always check a little more diligently, and you can absolutely be rest assured that there is going to be equity. Otherwise, they will not test you for a general aptitude.
Okay, sir.
No problem. Yeah.
Yes, and if I may add that there can always be a margin of
Yeah.
questions being asked more or less
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. That is a buffer, Kriti.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
That's a buffer. See, it happens with every exam. There can be a buffer. And also, why I'm saying, because sometimes what happens, like a statement argument question in general ability or like in COQP 11, they are calling it under logical reasoning. Then there are a lot of other exams that call a statement argument or a statement conclusion question to be part of verbal reasoning. Now, i-
Yes.
it is also the language of the syllabus. So I would say that look at it from a holistic point of view. Believe in the parts that you are good at. I am not at all making a blanket statement saying that what you should attempt or what you should less attempt. I am trying to build on the fact that key, compared to a general awareness or knowledge based question which has lower guarantee in terms of the scope of the question, knowing parallelly a mathematics or a logical reasoning or a verbal ability concept is going to give you stronger returns.
Hmm.
Because if a question is asked from it and you know how to do parajumble, rearranging sentences in a meaningful, cohesive format, general to specific order, you can expect that if one or two questions come from it, you will be able to attempt it. So,
Hmm.
that approach, if you maintain, you will find it quite meaningful, right?
Hmm.
Quite meaningful. So, let that space be with you. And I would again request everyone should do a written strategy in a notebook today, not tomorrow, today, identifying how you want to approach the paper based on our discussion. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, doesn't matter. But you should be able to create a blueprint. You cannot go to discover, you can't keep it absolutely open to your stars on that day, right? You can control your stars better when you know what questions to look out for in the first 54 minutes. First 5 minutes, consolidate your thoughts, keep a smile on your face. It helps immensely. If you do not believe in it, I will share research papers that how magical smiles can be, in terms of reasoning things out, right? 12:30 to 2 p.m. is your timing of the exam for COQP 11. We are currently at 1:32 or 1:33, right? So there is roughly around, say, 27 minutes till the completion of the exam. Around this time, 27 minutes that we are in, you can set a benchmark that by this time, you should have had more or less satisfactorily answered, right? Satisfactorily answered as much as questions that you are aware of. So that is going to be an important milestone from wherever you get it, whether it is GK, computer awareness, mathematics, doesn't matter. So 133 on 25th of March is, or 134 or 135 is when you should be thorough with it. The remaining 25 minutes from now onwards is the time when you not only try to see if some more maths question, reasoning question you can attempt, and along with it, try to be very, very frugal in attempting GK questions, because if you get them incorrect, it is going to reduce your net marks, right? If you put even up to 3 to 5 minutes in a maths question, which otherwise you were not able to get it, but if you get the answer correct, it will give you +4. Do the same with the English question, it's give you +4. Do the same with a logical reasoning question, give you +4. But GK question, it will not take you few seconds to answer it, but if you get it incorrect, it gives you -1, right? So I hope you're understanding the parity. I am no way reducing GK, to something trivial. No, we have extensive GK understanding as a professional in any domain. You will be what you are for your general knowledge. Everything else, you will learn and unlearn every day. So that is very important. But in the context of an exam, with which actually has negative marking, your strategy should also be in place, right? So any further questions? Sanur has joined. Thank you for joining in.
Yes, so where can we access these resources? Is
Preeti,
it
I'll yeah,
accessible?
I'll share it with you after the session. Yeah,
Okay, thank
yeah.
you, sir.
Thank you. No problem. So Sanur has joined. Deepika was there. Sneha, Vaishnavi, feel free to ask anything on your mind. And as I mentioned, like prior to 12, as you hit the exam, don't stay hungry. Eat something nice and light, whatever you like, enjoy. Yeah. It's good, to be energetic during the exam, right? Be proactive. What it takes, you're listening to music helps you to concentrate on your way to the exam, do that. Not a problem, right? Don't think that, oh, listening to music will make me forget GK. It's not going to happen. Believe in your memory, believe in your abilities, believe in your cognitive ability. There is so much that they can do. We sometimes underutilize it. So maintain that stance. Do write down the strategy. If possible, show it to me. What will happen? Maximum, I will ask you to change it or we can discuss over it. But by today, if you write down your strategy and you, let's say, share it with me, like a photo from your diary, that is going to possibly, help all of us better. And your strategy is your strategy. It is not someone else's, right? That's why, as an individual, you should also be able to introspect it. Okay, more questions. 23 minutes till 2 p.m.
Sir,
Yeah.
as you explained for COQP 11, what should be the strategy or the 60% thing for COQP 12?
Same. I think, COQP 12, the management paper, has your task a lot cut out because, uh, Vaishnavi, mathematics boils down to basics of data interpretation, percentage, right? Basic application of partnership business and application of proportion, right? Because calculating wages is simply based on your efficiency. So if you maintain that approach, COQP 12 definitely has way more scoring opportunity, right? I'm not reducing it to any less than COQP 11, but COQP 12 also, Vaishnavi, maintain the same focus. There is no general awareness. So your guarantee and maybe your risk is a little lesser, right? So if you follow that path, Vaishnavi, um, and since I can consider COQP 12 to be a subset of COQP 11, a proper subset, I would say. If you are preparing for COQP 11, you should be well covered. For COQP 12, you don't have to do anything uncharacteristically different. Yes, Vaishnavi. Yeah,
Okay, thank you, sir.
you're welcome. Okay, any other questions?
So it would be good for us, like if we go through all the questions at first and then
Always,
uh,
always.
w-
Absolutely.
wouldn't it kill our time?
So, Shornavo, I mean, time is an investment, right? It is supposed to give you return. Time is not killed. Why? Because you are using this time to create a strategy. What strategy? How you start. You might find, Shornavo, that the most comfortable question is question number 79 for you. I'm just hypothetically stating. Hypothetically. Now, what happens is if you do not go through the questions, you may not discover it. Like, suppose you, while going through, you saw, Are 32 question is so simple. I know this answer. And you got a +4 in few seconds, right? But had you started from question number one, first English comprehension, and you are stuck between two options, then you go to question number two, fill in the blanks. Okay, you did this. Now, question number three, match the match the pair with agreement of subject with the verb, and you are not sure. So effectively, what happens, Shornavo, like say you have spent 10 minutes of your time, and you have got like one question correct, whereas the same 10 minutes while going through the question, if you ever come across GK questions, Shornavo, which you are very sure of, will you wait to go back to the question later on? You will immediately mark it, isn't it?
Yes, sir. But why I'm asking this, because in case of CBT,
Huh.
like we have to click on mark next. We can't see the whole of the paper at
No,
one at a
but
time, right?
Shornavo, the entire paper is downloaded. It is not that they fetch it from the internet. The paper is in your local server. Okay. So when you click it, it is not that, the cursor goes round and round. Does it happen? No.
No,
It
no.
immediately comes exactly. So there is no loss of time. Don't think that, when you are transiting from one question to the other question, you are losing time. No, it doesn't
Okay, sir.
happen. Okay. The server, it is fetched directly from server, and the timer actually effectively stops for a millisecond of the transition. You don't lose time. You don't lose time. So you can be rest assured that that is an investment which we need to put in to scrutinize and identify my questions. And it works. It can work. Okay, more questions.
Sir, I was trying to figure out how to go about the solving part. So, like, would this be a good way such that first I scan through all the 75 questions, and
Yes.
maybe the option which is there, like to mark for review next. So, the ones which I am seeing that yes, I know I can solve it or I know the answer,
Yes.
I'm marking
Yes.
those. And the
Absolutely.
ones which I don't know, those will be in red. So, then I can filter
Absolutely.
out that these ones I can
Yeah.
do now, and then in rounds try to attempt as many as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that would
Perfect.
work, right?
That should work. See, Sanjana, that is why the tool of mark for review is also given. The exam layout provides you with an advantage that questions which you have felt you can attempt it, but you would want to go back to it later. I think they get marked by purple or red, as you may have seen.
Purple.
Purple, exactly. Purple is the color. So you will find. So use that tool. That tool has been given so that you can definitely review it, isn't it? So in the first 5 to 6 minutes, if I use that tool diligently, on my navigation pane, I have the entire chart ready. And then I can simply, earlier when this review system was not there, we used to tell students that write in your rough sheet the question number. Now, technology has given you this tool, the color code. Let's use it. That makes a lot of sense. Any more questions, please?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I'm Reena, sir. Sir, I just joined the session a little late and I wasn't able to attend the entire session.
No
Can you just,
problem.
yeah, is there any recording that's available of the session so I can just go through it and listen to it once it's ended?
Yeah, Reena, we will try to share that. If you have any specific question, why don't you ask that? That's most important.
No, nothing specific as such. I just want to know because I haven't
Yeah,
taken any other guidance or
no
such.
problem. That's okay. That's okay. We were just trying to consolidate a strategy, Reena, that um, 60% of our time out of 90 minutes, that is 60 minutes, 1 hour, is where we will try to maximize our attempts in terms of my accuracy. Right, and
Okay.
whatever it takes, Reena, whichever part of the paper you find questions to be more comfortable for you, you
Mhm.
attempt that. Right,
Yes.
and as you saw, someone else also asked Sanjana that there is a tool which is marked for review. If I use that tool at the start of my paper, then it
Okay.
also helps me to organize my attempts better. Right. So these strategies are going to be very important, Reena, and we have discussed that we are going to write down a strategy. So I want each of you to write down the strategy and share it with us. What is your strategy for COQP 11? Right. What
Yes.
are the chapters and topics from the syllabus that you are comfortable with? You really like it. That has to be written down on a paper with your pen or pencil. You cannot keep it in your head. The moment you write it down, that is where you discover as well as you prepare for the test day best. And that strategy is yours. It is not something that I can tell you because I am not sure how you process things. I can give you like a framework. The framework is to write it down based on the strategy that we are discussing of these 60 minutes, what you're going to attempt, and then the remaining part. Okay, more questions? Anything on your mind? Otherwise, we also discussed that technical issues by chance, if you are facing during an exam, let's say brightness of the computer is or the monitor is too much to your liking, please request the invigilator or the person at the desk to control it. Don't do it on your own. By any chance, the chair on which you are sitting is not so comfortable, it is wobbly, right? All of these things are supposed to be in place. I can assure you that most of the times, everywhere, more or less nowadays, because there is a strong budget allocation by the central government, the administrative requirements, the logistic requirements are quite good. Infrastructure of the computer based test centers have also improved immensely, but again, I cannot be subjective to what we are aware of. You come from various parts of the country, right? And under various circumstances you are appearing for the exam, but it is your fundamental right, literally, to ask for help and support if you are not satisfied with the exam taking condition. So do not ever feel that you have to settle with what has been given to you. Please request the administrative authorities to do the needful. They will be very cooperative. I can rest assure you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And also, what I would always maintain that keep during an exam. I mean, it goes without saying. Uh, we cannot at all. I know there's no point in saying this, but it's still important to understand that there's no point in taking to any unfair means, because they are very, very strictly dealt with, right? Unfair means could be plagiarism, unfair means could be nowadays, smart devices, a lot of other things which are being used during exams. So never fall into such, practices. And I'm telling you again, this is an exam. It is not anything more critical than you yourself, right, as an individual. And so don't feel that this is the only opportunity and option. Consider this to be part of a process that is going to take you towards your purpose, whether it is a master's program. Through the master's program, you want to work in a sector, you want to gain your skills. It is not just the option. So treat it as a part of a choice that you have made, right? So I know there are various circumstances. I might be in a privileged position, even, to say these points, but I can empathize, and I will try to empathize, and we will try to empathize with each and every of your, liabilities, your concerns, your domestic situation. We are products of all of these outcomes, right? But at the end of the day, we ourselves are most important, isn't it? So it's very important that treat the exam as a part of an experience and exposure. Enjoy the process. Look at the syllabus diligently if possible today, based on the strategies we discussed, right? Feel free to even share, like how Yash mentioned that he had appeared for the exam and he found way more questions from GK. But I think maybe what he mentions is there could be some buffer questions, but otherwise, a general paper is expected to be pretty much equitably distributed. The word equity is fair distribution, not equal. Okay, equal is when you have exactly 15 questions per five type of questions. What are these five type of questions? Verbal ability, general awareness, computer awareness, mathematics, logical reasoning, right? Five types of question. These are equal distribution. We are also talking about equitable distribution. So you can always, kind of be critical about it, but you should try to internalize the approach towards the paper, right? Because the opportunities through CUET PG across the length and breadth of our university system is immense. Okay, so don't restrict and constrict yourself to just few programs, and then in order to score something which has been told to you, which may or may not be always true, in terms of a cutoff mark or a safe score, quote unquote. Don't end up unnecessarily triggering negative marking, which can further reduce your score, right? Be happy with your attempts, be confident about your accuracy, be confident about your concepts that we are talking about. You will do remarkably well day after, and even, like, if you're appearing for the COQP 12 paper, right? 9 minutes to 2
So one
p.m.
more, I have
Sharnavo,
some
please
one.
share.
Sir, regarding GK,
Yeah.
can you please share us like what will be the important topics, and regarding the computer part also,
Sharnavo,
like
it is
what is the
here.
probability to probable
Yeah.
question to be asked?
Sharnavo, I think computer basics questions, OSI model, all of these are there in this paper. Rather, I'll do something, Sharnavo. I think it is there also in our folder. I will share the link with you. Just a minute. I think this got timed out. I will share in the folder with you, Sharnavo. Okay. Because you are basically asking for a ready reckoner, right, Sharnavo, which we were doing with your previous papers, right? So there is a, you see, there are these ready reckoners as well as a study plan given, which Sharnavo you can access in the COQP 11 folder. So that should work out. It worked out last year, should work out this year also. We are quite confident. Right, Sharnabu? Okay. Any other questions on that note? Anything on your mind? Any concerns? Any thoughts? Vaishnavi, Kriti, Ayushi, thank you for joining in. Reena, Deepika, Sharnavo, Yash, Sanjana.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your guidance.
No, no, no. I mean, I think we are, as I said, always in an easier position, not giving the exam. But it is important that as a test taker, you enjoy the process. Please feel, please realize that you are, kind of entitled to opportunities because you have invested your time, energy, money, effort towards literally nation building, because at the end of the day all of these courses and programs are leading to opportunities, isn't it? Where you join the future workforce, you are part of the human capital, right? It sounds very philosophical at this point of time, because you will say that, sir, at the end of the day, you have to go through the paper. It's very easy to say, but we are all part of the process. We are not letting you go so easily, right? We could have not done the session also today, isn't it? But we understand certain psychological, psychosocial aspects which play, because we have to take care of ourselves. We also have to be careful about our communication, right? Not drop blanket statements saying that this program is good, that is bad. Such binaries do not exist in our society, right? So let's be very, very, blended in our approach, right? Deepika, we will help you through. Don't worry, and we'll definitely provide all of you the guidance. If I hope everyone has our contact details, by the way. If not, please feel free to reach out to me, because I know most of you are in the WhatsApp group. Many of you are, of course, being mentored by us, but any of you who want to reach out to me on WhatsApp, please feel free to drop a message on WhatsApp on this number, right? Still a lot of time left, not just 5 minutes today, but even beyond, for you to consolidate your aptitude for the paper, make sense, uh, create a method in the madness, as well as back your strengths. Each of you have that potential. Some of you can be really strong in certain areas, and COQP 11 gives that opportunity to more or less equitably test all of those areas together, right? So please feel free to reach back, and thank you so much for your proactive participation in this discussion session. We look forward to support you more meaningfully. Please do not stop asking questions. Do not take it for granted. Do not just, submit yourself to fate. Nothing is like that. You design your trajectory, right? And one of the ways in which you design your trajectory is asking questions. And when you ask questions, it also lets us to provide you with opportunities to, it also pushes so many of the stakeholders to find opportunities for you. So believe in that approach. No one is going to ever get irritated or disturbed because you asked a lot of questions. The ones who get or do that definitely may have some separate way of understanding compared to you. For us, you can keep asking us question till your exam has started on COQP 11. Okay, we'll try our best to respond and support you back. Thank you so much once more. It's I am lucky that all of you joined us on a Sunday. You took time out of your family, out of a lot of other commitments, and really appreciate that effort, because this is going to pay dividends, for you today, tomorrow, and even later on. Thanks a lot once more, students, participants.
Thank you, sir.
Stay in touch. Have a
Thank
good
you.
lunch. Have a good lunch if you have not eaten. Food is the only source of energy. So be well fed before the exam. Okay. Enjoy what you like eating, food or beverage, whatever it is, right? Keep your energies up. You can do incredibly well. All the best.